Whoa, it's the Illusion reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. I'm in North Hollywood. I'm here with Guy Mariano. We're gonna shoot the ship for a while, so buckle up for the ride. Thanks for doing this, Guy. Appreciate it, I really do. So I always like to kind of start these things out with like the business, because most interviews end with like the business and the promotion, and it gets lost in the sauce. So shout out to your companies, anyone you want to thank, that kind of stuff.
Girl Chocolate, Lakai, Active, 4-star, Hex, Underlay, all that.
All right.
Yeah.
Any shouts out to anyone out there in the world?
Shout out to my girl, Gina Rizzo. What's up?
There it is, man. All right, business is taken care of. All right, what do you think about the aliens?
I don't know. I believe in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
what do you want to know about them?
Well, you know, like everyone's got their, all right, believing in them. So
I mean, like, I think that somewhere, like, maybe up there, there's some aliens, like, looking down on us, kind of tripping out and seeing what we're going to do with this world. You know what I mean? Like, watching us and just being like, whoa, like, look at them. It's like a little science project.
Right.
It's just like, look, they're melting all the water. Like, they're going to run out of water. And there's probably, like, a bunch of other ones out there, like, you know what I mean? Just trying to, like...
Do you think they're good or bad?
I think they're good.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about human beings? Like, are they good or bad? They're like, you know, there's probably good aliens, there's probably bad aliens.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I know my own experience. I've been on the dark side of it all. I've been as crazy and out of my mind and spiteful.
Wait, have you seen aliens?
I've seen some UFO activity.
Nice.
And all right, I was at a Grateful Dead show once. And I was tripping balls, right? But it was up there next to Moffett Field at Shoreline, right? And I was sitting there and I was watching aliens walk through the fence, like through the fence, and go right into the middle of the Grateful Dead crowd and start dancing.
Wow.
And that's funny. I haven't talked about that in a long time.
I have a friend, Mark Johnson.
Okay.
Like, he reads a lot of books and, like, you know, does a lot of research and stuff. And he's told me, or he's just told me about, like, research and studies of, like, certain alien stuff, and I find it really interesting.
Yeah.
Like pyramids and all these, like, wonders of the world that, like, can't be, like, you know, figured out, and it's like, why would I be so, like, narrow-minded to believe that, like, you know, something other than myself didn't exist before me?
So you're open to the whole potential of, like, anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
See, that's where I'm at with the aliens. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Where are we going? All right, I had this one crazy experience. I was sitting in Pennsylvania, and the space shuttle flew over, but the sun was just right, and it was reflecting off the bottom. So you could see the space shuttle flying over in the atmosphere, and I was like, there it is. Like, there's our spaceship flying over the planet. Yeah. So, like, why is, like, alien technology?
I mean, sometimes, like, I do believe this. I do believe there's people out there that maybe have certain beliefs that are religious or whatever their, you know, beliefs may be, that some people might not be able to handle the fact, and maybe that's why, like, the government hasn't released it. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, whether if dinosaurs existed or aliens existed, people might lose all faith in all of everything, and, like, you know, what is true and what is not, what are they not telling us now, you know what I mean? So like, the whole world just might just, like, freak out. Like, some people would not be able to handle it.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean? So that's why I think there's probably, like, a little bit, like, you know, to keep it on the down low. Because do you think the government knows?
Oh, yeah. Do you check out Stephen Greer?
No.
He's the big alien disclosure guy. He's the Disclosure Project, and he advises all the presidents. They call him in to talk about it. His whole trip is that they know about it, but they don't want to disclose, because if they did, people would be like, well, how are they getting here? And then they would have to disclose the alternative energy, because they're not coming here on fossil fuels. They're coming here with, like, gravity or electromagnetic energy, and once they did that, all the, like, big corporations would be basically put out of business by the technology. And that's his whole trip, is it's not even fear or anything, it's just, like, straight green.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
I mean, I always feel like, you know, it's like, as just, like, you know, people or whatever, like, we're so, the government keeps us, like, so far behind, you know what I mean? Like, their technology is so advanced, and there's so many things, and it's like, you know, they just give us in little doses what they think we can handle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look at, right, the cell phone's, like, half is gnarlier traffic death rates than drinking and driving, right? That's just with, like, one tool.
Yeah.
Like, I was on
maybe Nigel Houston's maybe he's an alien. We just don't know. Maybe they're living amongst us right now, skating and.
I think so.
Every Michael Phelps, Nigel Houston.
I'm down with that. No, I think they would be right in here, fully just rolling with the scene, checking it out. Yeah. Because we have some pretty far.
There's got to be some like 007 aliens.
If you were, I would. But that's funny because I always think about that like skateboarding. Like I always trip that like the skate parks actually fit the bottom of UFOs. Yeah. Like when they come, it'll be like they'll lock in because skaters are like as a skater, you see the world different. Yeah. Right. Like you don't see like a urban landscape the same way like a soccer mom does. Yeah. Right.
You're driving down the 14 in Palmdale and you see all those rock formations and you're like looking at them. You're like, oh, it looks like a half pipe right there. It looks like a quarter pipe.
Yeah. Exactly. Like no, that skating the rock stuff. Yeah. Really, I'm into that, man. Like that's some far out thinking. Like, well, I could skate just nature. Yeah. Have you? That's funny. As like a skater, right? Like we'll go to like places no one else would travel to. Like, like surfers are all like, they'll go to like the beautiful beach to go surfing and skiers go to the beautiful mountain resort. But like a skater goes like straight to like the like dirtiest, roughest, kind of scummiest place in a city.
I've always found that pretty funny. It's like, even when we're in China or something, it's like we're 20 minutes from the Great Wall of China and we don't go. You know what I mean? We're there for 2 weeks and we don't go see this like, this landmark. Or whatever, and we stay in the back of this little Chinese restaurant. There's a little flat bar against the wall, and like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's where they pour out all the wonton soup, and it's like, that's where we want to be.
Travel around the world to skate in an alleyway, dude, with Phil. Yeah. But all right, that's true. How is China? What's your take on China, man?
It's fun. It's just, it's good. There's a lot of like, I think with like Southern California, there's like, a lot of like some of the best skateboarders, like they even migrate here. You know what I mean? They come from all over, but it ends up a lot here. It's really hard, like, you know what I mean? With all the spots, like all the tricks get done at them. You know what I mean? Throughout the years, it's like there's only a couple spots that really last, and it's like whether that be the Hollywood 12 rail. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like majority of the tricks are going down. It's like sometimes now you got to go outside of like not only like California, but the U.S. to like find some like original spots, and it's like people want to see some different. Their architect out there is like really good. So there's all this marble and like slabs and like quarter pipes and bricks, and it's like it's really fun. But the one thing I did notice is coming back there, it falls apart really quick.
Really?
Yeah. Like there would be like marble plazas. I would go there. It'd be like, there's a new train station. It's all marble, like whatever. We'd go in there and we'd be like, oh, this is amazing. I come back the next year and like a lot of the slabs would be like broken off or like
really
not just from skating, but I feel like the mortar and like the when you see them building these buildings, it's like instead of like the scaffolding. It's bamboo scaffolding, you know. There's a guy up there with just like his regular shirt, and he's just like banging away with. They're building these massive structures
with bamboo. That's pretty far out. No, so the build that you've always hear about that the quality of their like basic building materials like subpar.
That's what I did notice about the process.
It's made in China.
But I do like love the culture, like love everything. That was like one like thing I found funny, but I love the culture. I love like I just love everything. I don't know about like government and all that political stuff. I'm just talking on a straight
people level,
state level. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it, right? Like I think. Like skaters in a way.
That must be weird, with like, with like China, everything that's going on in the world, it's like, we're like right now, we're like, dude, China's like the best thing. We got to get over there and like,
skate it out.
Those spots are amazing.
Well, right, like, okay, I was thinking.
That's the narrow-mindedness of a skater. It's like, you know what I mean?
But it's trippy, like, all right, you come from the beginning of street skating. Like, how are you, 37, 38?
I'm about to be 37.
So I'm 43, right? When I was doing my street skating, man, you could go to downtown anywhere, USA. It was basically unmarked, no security, no hassle, and skate. Yeah. Right? And you were there for all that. And now you look at like, you try to go skate like a downtown or like any sort of those ledges or stuff. Like, you're on like a security timer.
Let me tell you, you know what's funny, man? I've just been like kind of going through this recently. So it's like this double-edged sword thing. It's like, you know, everyone's making these amazing skate parks and skate plazas, which is a blessing to skateboarding. Like whatever Tony Hawk's doing with this foundation, those people, it's like, you know, the barracks or whatever, it's like, they're making these plazas where kids are like having a place to skate. Growing up having like the perfect grill, perfect quarter pipe, and it's like coming back to the old school days where it's like skating is progressing on an amazing level because they have all this stuff. And it's like, there was a while there skate parks weren't around.
Yeah.
They're back now hard. But the other side of it is like every time you go street skating now, a cop's coming up to you and he's like, why aren't you guys at the park? Like you guys just petitioned and fought and like we built you a park right in downtown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why aren't you there?
In the prison, like, in the skate prison.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, but parks are so fun. It's like they're you know, I love when they open up. I love to go skating, but it's like it makes it hard for street skating now because everyone's like, you know, they're all over the place. Why aren't they there?
No.
Why are you still trying to grind down this banister in front of the federal building?
But that's what's weird. I had like it's trippy, a revival, if you will. I got Venice, they shut it all down for filming something. I was like, I just wanted to skate that day. And I went and got on the Wilshire bus and like rode it to like the top of Wilshire and like old school street skating, just went and hit stuff.
Yeah.
And it like, it just changed everything because I was like, dude, I've been sitting in skate parks for years, like stuck in their like mindset, like the run and like the whole weird thing. And there I was like rolling down the street like it used to be, just like looking for stuff to skate. And like, oh, there's a curb and like dodging cars and the whole thing. And I was like, whoa. And then like the next week I was like, I'm going straight to San Francisco. Like, that used to like the ultimate skate park.
There's the funny thing, like, you know, so funny you brought that up. Like the other day I was just thinking about skateboarding in general and it's just like being prepared for like all terrain, because like with these skate parks a lot of times it's like everything's perfect, the ledge, the rail, like everything's just mellow, perfect, smooth, and it's just like you can get so used to that. And like you go, you know, you're skating skate parks at home all the time, you go on a trip and it's like here you go, the rails are higher, the ledges are rougher, it's like, you know,
cracks,
the cracks and whatever, and it's like, you know, you skate in the skate parks too much, it gets hard to skate on the streets. Sidewalks and like, you know, alleyways, it's usually not perfectly level, there's all this stuff, so it's like it's good to get around. Like sometimes I go down to like Hermosa Pier with like Justin Eldridge and Rick Howard, and it's like always cool to just like still skate down the pier, like skate a little manual pad parking block, like kind of have fun with it, and like just always be used to all types of terrain, whether it be crowded, busy, you know, I don't know.
Well, no, that's
it's like that's a part of it, because like usually when you're gonna do something like, you know what I mean, like, and it sounds cheesy, but like if you're gonna go film or something, it's like most likely you're not gonna be in a park, or like, you know what I mean, like you're gonna be in some real street, like bigger rails, steeper, rougher ground, cracks everywhere. It's like, you know what I mean, you gotta
I was tripping out on that thing. It's like it seems like, I don't know if it's a spoken rule amongst the world of filming and the whole thing of like, it seems like filming, it's not really legit to film like stuff in a park, like because of that, it's cookie cutter-ish. Like
it definitely, I mean, there's a lot of filming going on in parks right now, and it's like if something's an amazing trick, it's amazing, we're all gonna like it, you know what I mean? But it's like if there's something done down a park camera, and, you know, if there's something done down a park camera and there's something done down a street handle, the same trick, it gets more credit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because you're dodging cars and bums and
it's just real. You know,
taco wrappers and the whole deal.
It's just real.
No, that's what I think's so like fascinating for me as a skater. Is just the weird to have ridden a horse, like ridden the crazy like ride. Like most of my crew. Like I'm the last of the Mohicans as far as the guys I skated with. Like, and every now and then I'll sit there and be like, I made it. Like I made it through all of that. Like I remember sitting in like the 90s I was going to school in Flagstaff and just skating around Flagstaff and just skating stuff. You go down there now, it's a bust.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there was 2 dudes at the school who skated like everywhere. That's what we did. Like skated 2 class. Always with our skate.
But you know what's funny is like, you know when you have like, when you start skating, you got this like group of friends. It's like 10 of you guys, and you're like, this is my crew. I want to stay with this crew forever. And then like things just like 5 years pass by, and it's like, whoa. You look up, you're like with this different crew, and you're like, okay, now this is my crew. I want to be with this crew forever. You know what I mean? It's like you go through those phases, and it's like I've been through a lot of phases with people, and then I finally got to this last crew, probably being girls skateboards. And it's like, yeah, now I've like noticed some of the guys that like we started it with, whatever. It's like maybe not skating as much, maybe making a transition to not skating. It's like I feel that too, like one of the last ones.
It's weird, but
like, and then you start like, you know what I mean? Like you're looking at these younger kids, and it's like, yeah, these younger kids are your new, like, you know what I mean? These are your new boys now. This is when you guys go skate. You're rolling out with kids, and it's like,
I'm hanging out with like 22-year-old kids.
Like I've noticed when I first like, you know, got back into skating again, it's like I was thrown in with like Mike Mocapoldi, and he was like, you know, I think he was 15 or something. I might have been 30, 29, 28. And I was like, wow, this kid's so young. And it's like, I've watched that kid grow up. And like, he's like to like a normal age now. And like, I hear him now, and he's just like, oh, these new kids. And I'm just like, skateboarding's so fast, man. It's so like, it's so short-lived sometimes. It's like,
well, right.
But even though we stay here so long and it's so drawn out, but it's just like, you know, like that, you always feel like that prime, you know what I mean? That prime of your skate years or something.
You know, I was wondering about that, because here you are, right? Like, just about to be 37. Like, you had one of the biggest, like, skate parks and, like movies in a while like that. The Pretty Sweet was, like, the real deal as far as, like, a skate movie.
Yeah.
In a long time, like the hype, the whole thing.
No, it was super good.
Yeah, but here you are as a dude who's made it. You've been in those like time sequences, like you were there in the Pal Peralta days.
Really lucky.
Yeah, you've been at all these pivotal moments through skating on like sheer momentum almost.
Yeah.
Right, and it seems like a lot of other guys just get like flashes. Like they come, they go. Like, is it
I never planned anything out like super crazy like that, but I think that I've just been really lucky and fortunate. You know.
But you're dedicated. You love skating.
Yeah, that is. But like everybody is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's just certain things. It's just like I think that skateboarding is still in a stage where it's like it's an art form. You know what I mean? Like musicians, and skateboarding, and like there's other things, but it's like there's no really solid ranking, like a roster, like the PGA Tour or like the NBA, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like there's no like way to like, it's still like an artistic, you know, expression, and so there's always going to be there's people that are really good skateboarders. They're better than the pros. You know what I mean? But they don't make it. And that might be because of attitude. That might be because of like personality or just, you know, bad luck or whatever. And usually in other sports, it's not really that way. You know what I mean? It's
sheer talent wins.
Sheer talent.
Personality doesn't matter.
In points and like whatever. But it's like skateboarding is still... I don't even know what the hell I was talking about right there. I don't know where I went with that.
No, skateboarding's a trip. Like, what is it? Like, I sit there sometimes. I heard that one dude's quote in one of those movies.
You know what was a good quote? Lance Mountain. He was like, the thing about being a skateboarder is not being able to quit. Like, that's the hardest thing. Like, that was a rad quote.
Like, I couldn't...
I probably fucked it up. Sorry about that.
No, but that's the thing. It's like I couldn't imagine like life without my skateboard on some level. Like, you know, I adjust, man. I'm getting older, man. It's like the back's gnarly, dude. The whole physical thing. But like in the sense of like skateboarding, like I couldn't ever be that guy like I used to skate. Like I used to skate. Like. I always wonder how long you can go.
Yeah, or just like you know, to have that passion for it. You know what I mean? Like to like skateboarding to me, it's the thing that drives me the most. It challenges me mentally, physically, emotionally, and just like in all these ways. And I don't think that I'll ever. I mean, that sounds like whatever, but I don't think I'm gonna find anything that's gonna like drive me as much as it. You know what I mean? Like a job or like, you know, a sport or a hobby. Like, I don't know if I'll ever find something that has this attachment to me. And it's like, So that's a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
I always just want to, like, I want to be 50. Like, hopefully when I'm 50, I'm doing a kickflip. Like, hopefully.
You see those, dude, you
Salva.
Right? Killing it still.
Lance Mountain.
Killing it.
You know what's funny is, like, those dudes, it's like, alright, this is a funny story, but, like, you know, when I was young, I looked up to, like, Tony Hawk, Lance Mountain, like, dude, the Bones Brigade. That's when I was growing up, like, Mark Gonzalez. And it's like, I still see those dudes doing, like, things that, like, it motivates me, it pushes me, and it's like, yes, man, like, I still want to be like them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to go on as long as them. It's like, I see Lance Mountain, like, you know, he came out on Jamie Thomas's thing, kickflipping the table or whatever, and it's like, I was blown away.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be. I want to be Lance Mountain. I wanted to be him when I was young. I want to be him now.
No, that's what's so cool is like the cutoff.
I think the hardest thing about skateboarding is, and it's so cheesy because like people have said it all the time, but it's like, you know, to have fun with it. Like Animal Chin, the search for Animal Chin, it was the search for fun or whatever. And it's like, to be around here a long time, you got to be having a good time, because if you're not, like if you're around something for over 20 years and you're not having a good time, it's going to be miserable.
Yeah.
It's going to show, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I just had a thing recently where I was like trying to film this little part or something for an internet, and it just wasn't working out. And I was just, every time I was going out to film, I wasn't having fun, I was just stressing, whatever, and I was like, look, I'm going to put it to the side, and like, I'm just going to skate my park, I'm going to go out with my friends, just skate down by the beach, go skate some parks. Started having fun, and like, everything kind of opened up. It was like back on, and I was like, man, like, I always got to remember that. It's really important. Because like it does become like a job. It is a 9 to 5. It is hard. It is a lot of pressure. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, and with like whatever, with the internet and the amount of content people want nowadays, like, you know what I mean? Like, people want a lot of content. You know what I mean? There's like, I'm sure you're finding out with your show. They're like, give us more episodes.
Oh yeah, no.
Give me a chance to like, you know, focus here, because I want to take some time with it. I want to get some people. I want the interviews to be cool.
Yeah, no, that's the interesting thing with like where we are. Like as a pro skater, the cameras have been following you like from the get-go, since you were a kid, right? Like,
but things were different. Like, you know, like, let's say like maybe 10 years ago, like video parts, they only came out every 5 years from each company, you know what I mean? So it probably like around 2 to 3 years, you'd get a big video, and it would be this big bump in a progression. You know what I mean? Everyone would see this. You wouldn't see this progression, and it would be like, boom. You'd be like, whoa, it was so intense. Now you see it more on a day-to-day basis, so it's just like, you know what I mean?
But do you feel the exactly like it's the slow melt versus the pop?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the I don't know, you see a lot of these kids, right? They won't skate without a camera.
Yeah.
Like, is that like,
let me tell you why it's a good thing first.
Okay.
It's a good thing if the kid's gonna like try to become a professional skateboarder, because like I said, with the amount of content, you're gonna have to be filming all the time.
Sure.
There's some people that don't like to film. And it's like, as of being a pro skater, it's like, that's gonna kinda hurt your career a little bit, because you know, you're supposed to be filming. It's like, people need to see it. You know what I mean? Sure. And not to say that like only if you film stuff it counts, but it's like, you know what? Like, there's a lot of people that are really rad, but like not necessarily don't like to film, don't like to put out video parts. And
sure.
You know, that's not their thing.
No, that's the.
And then you got the company on the other hand going like, this guy is amazing. We just want to show everybody.
We need some footage. Well, no, what you have like all these like now part of like almost a young skater's like kit is like a camera dude. Like, well,
if you haven't noticed, like, I mean, everyone's documenting everything. It's what they're eating, and like, it's just like, you know, it's that Jim Carrey like movie. It's just
but the Truman Show.
Yeah, the Truman Show. It's just like everybody's got their own personal like 24/7. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm eating. This is how I'm skating.
It's pretty cool what it is now.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's sort of interesting with it is like now kids can make their own crazy content.
Yeah.
Regardless, like I watch all these like kids like channels, you know, they're doing their thing and like skating, and I dig all that. Like, there they are in some like bumfuck town somewhere in the middle of the country, like doing their deal.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool. Like, you had to really come along. You had to travel out here once upon a time, or travel to some like Love Park or the EMP.
Well, like I think that's the thing. Like, you grew up in Malibu.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so you grew up out here, and it's like there's a lot of fun stuff, like in Los Angeles County, Malibu. So it's like you're surrounded by all this stuff. Venice Park. So it's like you had like whatever. If you went down to Venice, you were gonna see Aaron Murray, Christian Soy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like some kids in the Midwest or somewhere. It's like they don't get to see that. You know what I mean? And all this content that like you think you could just go down to your beach and just watch it like whatever live. Those kids can't, you know what I mean?
No, I get a lot of those. Like,
so like,
thanks for showing me that.
You know what I mean? So it's like these kids are really grateful for all that like content and all this like social media, and just like if you're putting a little quick clip up on the internet, you know what I mean? It's like they're stoked.
No, I get a lot of that. Like
we're a little spoiled in Southern California.
They're locked up in Canada in the winter, and they're like it's December, and like there's just like. So-and-so skating down at Venice, and they're like, dude, you're living like the life. I'm like locked in my house right now, like wishing to skate. Like I think we take it for granted sometimes out here. But you just keep riding, right?
You're in February, and like your Instagram and your shin like just got a shinner, and some dude's like, I'm snowed in.
Snowed in. It's pretty gnarly, but that's what's weird about like the whole modern world of it all. Like no longer are you isolated. Like some kid can reach out to you via technology from nowhere's land. Like when I was a skater, I remember getting in trouble all the time with the principal and the whole thing, and being part of this weird crew of people, but not even being really part of that. Like now some kid who's by himself skating in some town can like reach out and be part of the whole now. Like you really had to like, I almost think it's like good and it's bad. Like you had to stick to your guns 20 years ago if you were gonna like skate. Like if you wanted to skate, like you had to like, there was no cavalry coming, so to speak, of like you were skating. You know what I mean? Like it's a tricky time to be as a skater, don't you think?
It is.
Like it's going everywhere.
It is.
Like do you check out that Confusion magazine?
No, which one is that?
Confusion's this magazine. It's a little one they make, and it's all about the do-it-yourself like concrete scene.
Oh, I love that. I want to get into some of that stuff.
And it's all in Europe. And if you see what these dudes are doing in Europe with the do-it-yourself concrete scene, it's like, wow, that's like radical stuff, because they're just like, there's this one picture I remember, it's like,
I've been doing that just recently. I've been going down to like all these reservoirs and just like looking at stuff and just being like, I want to get into that, man. Just like creeping up some stuff, or putting like, putting poles coming out of holes of walls, and just like, I want to make skateboard spots and like leave them there. Like I want to find a nice set of stairs and put a nice clean handrail in there and just leave it there. Like, you know what I mean? Because like skateboarding, as much as they want to say, like, it's pretty hard to go out there and skateboard on some of these spots that are pretty good. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a bust.
Oh yeah.
You're getting kicked out and arrested. It's like, I want to do some of that stuff. I love that, like, do it yourself.
No, that was what changed.
The thing with me is, like, sometimes, like, when they do it themselves or whatever, it's like, they don't make it abstract enough for me. You know what I mean? It's just like, sometimes they're like, okay, we're going to build, like, a ledge. And I'm just like, we have ledges, like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to, like, pour some cement, like, give it a little shape, or, like, kind of, like, bowl it out a little bit, make it something.
Do something weird. Make it a challenge. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, that was when I was going street skating the other day. Like, kind of broke that mindset.
Like Burnside, it's like, you're not just making a half pipe. You know what I mean? They got bowls, they got all these little cutty little things, like weird little pockets,
Well, that's why I like going down to Channel Street every now and then. That shit's hard to ride. It's hard.
Like it's steep.
It's steep and janky, and like you gotta like go through all the like weird. Like
it's not just about the trick. It's like, how did he get there? How did he get the speed for that? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
I can't even get to the top.
No, that's why, like, for me, like, when I watch, like, a video, almost, like the rapid cut of tricks, I like to see the whole, like, thing from, like, the push on, because you're like, dude, that's gnarly how he wove through all that stuff and, like, got there, and there's, like, a crack there and launched over that. And
I mean, that's some of the stuff that You know, you don't get to see, but as a team traveling with these guys, and I think that's why like some of these videos are so important to these teams when they go and celebrate it with like all their boys or whatever. It's just like, yeah, you watch all this like work, but it's like, you know, you can't show it all. You know what I mean? You can't show everything that Elijah's been through, and Vincent and Stevie, and it's just like, that's why we're so happy. You know what I mean? It's not just because of like the 2 minutes you see on there. It's like the 5 years we spent together, like battling. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what's rad.
Am I not plugged in? No, well, that was like when Ty and those guys came to pick me up to go up to the bowl, and I was looking at the stuff Ty had in the back of the van, the 3 generators, the lights, like all that I got. I was like, it was all about the Bondo. I was like, what's all the Bondo for?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, we go and like fix all this stuff and like fix the spots when we're done and like dye the colors so it matches and no one can tell. And I'm like, I was like, that's rad.
Yeah.
Like the Bondo thing's like,
you know what's, you know, Ty Evans is a rad dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's like, you know, it's like, I have a special bond with Ty. It's like we've done like 2 video parts together, and so going through something like that, it's like going to like, you know, World War I and World War II.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But not that extreme, but we've been through it. But Ty's the raddest dude because like, you know, there's no excuses. Like I show up to a spot and I'm like, well, the gate's locked, we can't get in. Clip, like, you know what I mean? Like this spot would be rad, but it's like there's a big old crack right here. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's gotten to a point where it's like on a trip, if it's raining, it's like the floor's all wet. Like I've seen him like dump gasoline all over the whole staircase and the floor, light it on fire and like dry it up.
Really?
He's crazy. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like whether it be like a knob or anything on a rail, it's like he's gonna go that extra distance
to make it happen.
And like that's a big thing, man. Sometimes like skateboarders, it's like you don't want to deal with all that stuff. It's like, you know what I mean? Like go to Home Depot, buy some Bondo. It's like fix, like, you know, put a sign down. And it's like when you got a guy like that that's just willing to like, you know what I mean? He's willing to put an effort to get that clip too.
It's like a prop master.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there's a lot of times
behind the
like,
scenes guys.
Yeah, a lot of things that Ty Evans did that's just like, I've seen him just bending poles and he's janking it and everyone's looking at him like, dude, this dude's crazy. No one's gonna skate this. Next thing you know, it's like Elijah's flying off this thing on like, you know what I mean, over into the street, and it's like, oh, that was rad.
Yeah, all because someone just was like, we're doing this. Well, that's what, right? Like, isn't that like what life is? It's like someone's got to almost like blaze the trail.
That's what it is. I find that so funny in skateboarding. It's just like, there's these landmarks around town that's like no one touches it. Then like Jeff Rowley like grinds it, and it's just like, okay, that's the spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now everybody has to go grind it, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The follow the leader mentality.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, man. Even in skateboarding, where everyone's an individual, they're still like following like one dude. Like he went there. Oh, I gotta go get some of that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy. No, Ty's a cool guy. Wait, I gotta figure out what's going on here with this power problem. All right, technical difficulties solved. We just added pillows and moved the camera around. We were with Ty Evans, the whole thing. You know, Ty Evans and Elijah, those guys facilitated like one of my dream moments in life.
What was that?
The moment up at the Voodoo Bowl with the lights.
Oh, nice.
Because at the end of my dark times, I used to sit up at that abandoned pool. That's where I like lived.
I heard. Tell me the story.
So I used to live up at that abandoned pool, like, and I hated the world. I used to call myself Hiroshima Nagasaki, right? And so I didn't want to talk to anyone. I'd sit up at that abandoned pool and I'd look down over the lights of LA and I would just be like, I just wish someone would be up here skating with me. And there was the Soul Tech Bowl was down below, and I would go skate that and like be like, you guys want to skate another pool? And they'd be like, yeah. I go, there's one right up the street. And I'd bring up like people and they'd skate, but they'd always leave, right? And I'd be sitting up there in the middle of the night, right? So one night I was like, you know what? I'm going to paint it white, like white, and then I would sit up there with a headlamp, and I'd put a headlamp on it, and I would just skate it by myself at night. And then eventually I would just sit up there and stare at the bowl and be like, all right. So then I got my...
Scary.
Yeah, well, it's just...
What if you like, you know, fell and hit your head? And
my spiritual advisor, when he found me and recovered me, he's like, what if you fell and hit your head? I was like, the coyotes would have eaten me. Like, I was like done. Like, life was pretty blasé at that, or over. I was fucked up.
You were in limbo.
I was in limbo. I was in stasis. So I get my world back together. I do the thing, and all of a sudden things start happening, right? Like it's all coming back together. So that night that like Ty and Elijah and Logan and Stevie, and we lit the thing up like a stadium.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was sitting up there and I was like, this is what I dreamed of. This is all I ever wanted to happen, sitting up here by myself on this bowl, was to be able to do this. And it was like this moment where I knew I was like on the right path in like life again, because here I was sitting there in this dream session, like watching Elijah Burrell go off and Ty Evans filming and Stevie Perez like challenging himself on the walls, and my bro Logan skating. You put it all together somehow.
Yeah. And
I was like, wow, man, it is true what they say. It's like life will give you a second chance if you choose to accept it, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
an amazing story.
Yeah, it trips me out too.
I mean, that could be like a children's book.
Totally.
A little kid, he's like paying the ball, like I wish all his friends would be there. But like this is the thing about skateboarding. This is like, a kid might see that clip, and that's just like in that clip is just that, like, was it the backside air to disaster or whatever?
Yeah, the big air he does, that Elijah does.
Oh, the front side air, the Mac Dre shirt on.
Yeah.
Okay,
in the dick bowl.
So that clip right there, like imagine what that clip meant to you, and it's like, to that clip it's just like a 2 seconds in a video, and it's like, that's how special it was to you.
Yeah,
like,
no, that.
You know, as for a skateboarder to put out those parts, it's like, you know what I mean, sometimes like a lot of those clips like have those special
deep
feelings
meaning
and like
underneath,
you know, whatever, and it's like, it's cool when like someone could bring that out or translate that in a clip, you know what I mean?
Oh
it's
yeah, no, it was so that was so super cool, because I was clueless, and all of a sudden, like, kids started saying, "Dude, the shot with Elijah's in the Pretty Sweet video," and dude, they gave you a thanks at the end, and I was like, "Whoa, man!"
Like that. This is the thing. It's like, you know, people don't know how much like stuff goes into like whatever you go on. Like when we go on a trip, it's like, hey, we show up to Florida. It's like we're gonna meet up with like Daniel or something. He's gonna be our tour guide, and that dude's gonna have to like take us to spot, like not have to, but like he wants to. That's how skaters are. It's like, here, we're gonna take you over here, we're gonna chop this lock for you, we're gonna light it up, we're gonna, like, you know, kind of give you the key to the city and show you how to work it. And you have all these special moments with all these skaters from different cities and countries and whatever, and it's like, that's why it's so rad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's other kids like, you know, maybe in Florida or like, you know, Kansas City, and they're like, you know, I was there that night, it was gnarly. It's like we had to cut this, bondo this, and it's like this dude went off like 3 hours. He got that clip. It was like a and it's like, you know, they hold that special place for that clip in their heart.
That's the weird thing of like.
So that's why it's like, that's like the love of skateboarding
and the whole thing. Well, that's what I've always found with skateboarding. What I think at the time of a certain time of my life where I could have like just whatever, it's just a toy in my car, versus like this is a real lifestyle tool to me. This is like as important to me as maybe anything I possess in my life is the skateboard, because I would show up at like skate parks and people would just welcome me, like, where are you from? Welcome, hey man, this is what we're up to, here's a beer for you, dude, this is like our scene. And I would show up at like, you know, pulling up to FDR for the first time, like, you see FDR and it's a gnarly park, but to go into Philadelphia, which is a rough city, roll in there and roll into like FDR Park, which is a rough park in a weird part of South Philly, and pull up under the bridge and like sit there with your skate and like take your first run and have like the gnarly dudes over in the corner who look crazy and the whole thing be like, welcome, where are you from, man?
Yeah.
And like exchange things, and like next time you see them, they're like, right, stoked to see you back. Like most things don't have that. Like you can be nobody from nowhere and roll in somewhere and be greeted by the main people.
It's an awesome culture.
It really, I have nothing but love for it.
You could get deep. It's somewhat of a religion. You know what I mean? If it's like,
totally.
If it's saving people and like, you know, helping them on these emotional levels and like helping them getting through certain things in their life, like giving them hope. You know what I mean? Like it does a lot of things.
Dude, if it,
I've seen like, you know, that it gets me stoked. I get stoked when I see that. I get stoked when I see someone that comes from nothing and works really hard and achieves greatness in skateboarding.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than that. When you're like, damn, dude, like, I remember when that dude was coming up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a Vincent Alvarez to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, like, he was working at a meatpacking factory, you know what I mean? It's just like...
That's gnarly.
And I see, like, you know, Vincent wasn't the, like, you know, 8-year-old kid that was, like, you know, we all knew about, and, like, seeing him coming up. Like, he kind of, like, you know, he was a little older and just came out hard and just, like, you know, never stopped. And it's like, I see that hunger and I see that grind, and it's like, I know what it means to him. Like, you know what I mean? He knows how important skateboarding was to him, and it's like, he's not gonna, like, let that... I mean, he's not going to get, like, too confident, let that get to his head and just take it easy.
Yeah, it wasn't just handed to him.
It's like, yeah, it wasn't just handed to him. He had to work for it. That's why he's hungry, and that's why he's still, like, you know what I mean?
I don't want to go back to the meatpacking plant, dude.
He's just like, you know, he's stoked. He's having fun.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't know.
No, well, that's what's so cool is, like, right now it's like you have the Trunk Boys. Like,
they're awesome.
Like, those dudes are, like, so cool and down to earth and, like, badasses on skates, and to, like, sit there and be, like, right there at the beginning of, like, their stasis and, like, their metamorphosis into, like, adults. Yeah. Like, they're all, like, young bucks, man. Like, Elijah's, like, a young dude. Like, they're all really young, and, like, they're coming into adulthood. Yeah. As, like, skaters, and the world's, like, opening.
You know what's funny is, like, I see them, and it reminds me of, like, when I did, like, Ban This with, like, Stacy Peralta and, like, Gabriel and Rudy and Paulo, like, that was our little crew, and it's like, at that point, it's like when you're young too, and, like, put, like, that first video, like, their crew is tight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're like a team within a team, and, it's a special moment for me because I'm like, that's so rad for you guys, but maybe they're just having fun and, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not really, like, thinking of it too much, but it's like, they'll look back on that. They'll know how special that is. You know what I mean? That's a really special moment.
Well, no, that goes, that was...
Like, bonds were, like, created there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something special. Well, and especially with those guys because, like, people might see, like, oh, crazy beer smash and whatever, but it's like, those kids got solid heads on their shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, they're really humble, you know what I mean? Within the industry that it's like, on my grind, I'm hustling, I'm killing it, and I'm the shit, you know what I mean? Like, these dudes being as good as they are and being really humble and, like, not going for that jock skateboarding type, like, you know, route. It's, like, really rad and it's really refreshing, you know what I mean?
They're nice guys.
I've seen, like, some of those guys, like, and this has nothing to do with nothing, but it's like, you know, people throw a lot of money at those guys and, like, them turn it down because it's like they believe in something, like, bigger than that. And it's like, in this day and age, it's something special, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's for everybody.
Yeah.
We have all different types of people, all different types of ways, but it's like, it's always rad. I think the Trunk Boys are rad because someone that's, like, looking at skateboarding in this corporate, like, you know, world and just like, we still can't market that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we don't know, like, you know, that's not something we're trying to get into the Olympics, which is a good thing because it'll keep skateboarding, like, you know, pure and well-rounded.
Well, that's the thing I always talk about it with, like as a surfer, like, I can't handle, like, the surfing culture because it's got no sense of humor. Like, underneath the surfing culture is this really dark, drugged up, weird world. But they come across as a bunch of, like, college professors, and I know their line. But in skateboarding, man, you crack open a Thrasher or a Skate Mag, man, there's still, like, fart jokes and beer references, and these guys wrought, like, you know, mayheming in the city, which is like, skateboarding hasn't tried to fit. I mean, some of it has.
You know what's funny is, like, I think that like, what you see too, like, you know, everyone is having fun and going crazy, but it's like, to a certain extent, skateboarders work really hard. Everyone goes like, oh, it must be like the, you know, you have the dream thing, you have this natural talent, you get to travel around the world and just do it wherever you please, and it's like, that must just be amazing. It's like, no, it's a little tougher than that sometimes, buddy. But these guys are on tour for like, you know, months at a time, 6 months out of the year, and it's like pushing themselves to certain limits with heat and weather and just like trying tricks for hours on end and just busting their bodies. It's like these guys gotta let loose a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
at the end of that, it's just like, yeah, that's why that dude's like, you know, shotgunning 10 beers.
You just
jumping into the pool naked. It's like because he's pushed himself to the limit, and it's like, you know, it is serious and it is like a lot of pressure, and it's like, you know, it's like, and that's why it's cool to like have that. It's like, yeah, like, you know, have some fun with it, man, because
well, sure.
it's tough.
It is, well, the physical thing.
And it's
ain't
getting
any
tougher.
easier.
It's,
It ain't
like,
dude, I see some crazy shit going like the next. Well, that was.
I don't, you know, I'm like, dude, it's getting so skateboarding's getting so crazy. I'm just like, I don't know what a kid has to do to get noticed nowadays,
dude.
Because everyone is really good. I'm talking like from the parks in the tranny, they're going off. They're getting buck. You know what I mean? Like
crazy.
some of the stuff they're doing, like it's just insane. Like Twist the Wrist, that one photo, and like was it in Chernobyl? He's like in that water park, like 5 on the thing. It's just insane. Whatever, but they're going off. Like big rail skating and big stair skating is like at its like prime, like, you know.
And it's getting bigger.
Nutty is it's death defying, and the technical world is just like super tech, and it's like you have to have a good style, you have to have a good personality because everyone's good.
Dude, the level of skating is like through the roof, like your average kid, killing it.
That's why you get some of these dudes like the Trump boys, and you're like, yeah, we'll get behind that.
Because they're cool, and they're cool dudes.
Yeah.
Man, like,
there's something special there.
Yeah, I like hanging out with Elijah, man. He's a cool dude, man. And going over and they're wide open guys, man. Like that's a valuable asset in today's world, man. Like that's what I appreciate about skating. There's no bullshit. If you want to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
It'll be portrayed, and if you can roll with that image, because it needs to be in there. Like that's what I like about this.
I've always wanted to, like, you know, let's just say if I can go, like, you know, not for me. Let's say if I was Niger or something, I was like the best skater. Like I would love it if I came out, I would just have a cape. And like, dude, I would be like the superhero.
Yeah.
And like, I would always practice, but I would like, you know, roll up to like Hollywood High. I would like, you know, Instagram, I'm gonna be at Hollywood High today, and I'd roll up like with a cape and like just do like the gnarliest tricks, and I'd do all the gnarliest tricks, all the gnarliest spots with the cape, and just be like I'd be a natural superhero.
No, I'm so.
And like, you know what I mean? Like, I would be affected. Like, then you just cruise down Hollywood Boulevard, and they'd be like, no, and then you even wear a mask and
no one knows who you are. Like your alter ego as a skater is like, who is that dude?
And it's just like, dude.
Because have you seen that? There's a graffiti artist in England, right? He went to like some red carpet movie where he wears a fucking hood over his head, a black bag over his head because he's afraid of getting busted by the cops. So he shows up at these like red carpet events with like a really nice black bag, and no one knows who this dude is. Like a skater that's killing it.
You'd have to like, I mean, you got to keep him out of like, you know, the public's eye. Like,
yeah.
Really hard.
The unmasking, like who
there's people you could do it.
So there's someone out there. I'm surprised someone hasn't come up with that gimmick of like finding one of these super ripping kids and being like, look, bro, this is the deal. We're paying you, but you'll never ever get to have your name revealed, who you are, that whole thing. You're just this superhero.
You're skate man.
You're skate man, dude, and you rip. It's so epic. I love there's so much. That's the thing with skate.
That's a marketing scheme.
That's a great scheme though, because it's fun. It's like, who is this? No, it could be like a whole thing. Like figure out who has solved the riddle. Who is this dude?
He has his own company. It's only his board. His own wheel company. It's only his stuff.
And he's killing. He's doing some stuff that no one's seen yet. Like
he's got to be like on the level.
An innovator, yeah. Do you know the one thing I always trip out is the going to handrail handstand.
What is that?
Like, you know when they ollie to the handrail, you go to a handstand. Instead of landing on your feet, you ollie and do like a jump on there and like go to handstand.
Like here's the funny thing, man. Like when I was young, like after Pal Peralta, I ended up getting onto like blind, which was Mark Gonzalez. He was a very innovative skater, and like, you know, he's just really far ahead of his time. Where he would be like, I want to do a frontside nose slide, and I want to do it 12 feet long. And it's like, well, no one's doing that, and that's not really possible. Why would you want to do that? Or like, he wanted to boardside double king can rails, and it's like, this guy's crazy. You know what I mean? I remember like I used to think like, all right, he's just crazy. But he was just ahead of his time, you know what I mean? And my mind wasn't ready and like whatever, but like he inspired me. He taught me to think outside the box. To this day, he still tells me these like really outlandish things or crazy things, and I'm like, dude, this guy's crazy. But I always go back to being a kid, being like, I remember I thought he was crazy before.
And now look at it.
So you know what I mean? Maybe he's just so far ahead of his time, and it's just like, you know what I mean? He's on the level.
Dude,
So when you say something crazy like that now, I'm just like, I believe it.
Why not?
Someone's gonna do it.
Well, it was like watching that crazy stuff down at the barracks.
But what happens is I think, you know, when I grew up skateboarding, like, you know, maybe Mark Gonzalez boards let a hand run, not as, like they grinded them. So that's what I grew up knowing was possible to shoot for. So maybe in my head I was like, I bet you someone could kickflip grind it. When those guys' heads were like already past that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a kid nowadays, he's first thing that he gets introduced to skateboarding is Corey Kennedy part, or like you know what I mean, like, you know,
or the mega ramp.
Yeah, a mega ramp, or like a Nigel or Andrew Reynolds. So it's like this kid in his head is like, you know, that's his first glimpse of skateboarding. So it's like, imagine where he's gonna take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I always used to trip out on. Like, you know, you can do anything on it. If you can imagine it, its potential. Yeah. Like, that's what's kind of cool watching.
Or like Danny Way, he was always like in all his interviews, or like his videos would be like, you know, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And he went on to prove that. You know,
dude, in a big way.
You know what I mean? But
what do you think about all that? That stuff still blows me away.
Yeah. I think about it in myself. The way I think about it is funny because I see myself get older, and it's like, you know, I remember at a young age where I was like, anything is possible. You just got to spend time and learn it. As I get older, I'm just like, look, I'm not the best at nollie heel flips. I just don't do them. And I rob myself of that opportunity. But sometimes now at my older age, like, you know, I'll be like, hey, I want to try to learn a trick. And I end up learning a trick or something, and I'm like, you always got to like keep that in your head that, you know, you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it, because it is possible. You know what I mean?
No, that.
And it's just like you start, like, as you get older, I think, you know what I mean? Like, your self-esteem, like all this stuff starts affecting. It's just like, I'm not good enough, I'm old, and it's like, you know, you hold yourself to all these like labels, and it's like, if you believe that in your head, you will fall victim to that.
Yeah, head's a gnarly place to be.
Yeah, it's all mental.
It's all mental. Well, that's what I trip, like, that weird.
There is a lot of like, you know, hey, if you're like in the park for 12 hours a day, like, you know what I mean?
You're gonna the Rodney Mullen, like,
or just like, you know, it's gonna have an effect, a positive effect, but it's like, dude, that mental.
Or you're gonna blow yourself out. Like, I remember, like, when I was young, the launch ramp thing was right around when I was 18-ish. I remember, like, the launch ramp thing was a big deal, dude. And I remember screwing around with it. And I remember one day just looking at what was going down and being like, that's counterproductive to like my longevity. I remember sitting there and having a conscious thought about it, like, that's really hard on my like knees, and watching dudes and being like, there's no, because I was all into the geometry of it all, and I'm like, yeah, it's not clicking with me that this is something I want. I wouldn't touch the things. And most of my crew that doesn't skate were dudes who were killing it on launch ramps and like just blew out there. All their knees were shot, man. And I'm like, glad I dodged that one.
Yeah.
You know, I look at that one like, that was one of those weird subconscious decisions of like, dude, I gotta keep skating. Like, now it's like a physical thing too, right? Like,
it's super physical. I mean,
how are you holding up physically, man? Like,
you know what's funny is like when I was 28, 29, like I was feeling really good, and it's like I think 2 years went by, and I was like, well, I noticed like I'm a little bit more sore. As each year goes by, I notice like a lot more. As you get older, like it happens like very quick. But yeah, getting up in the morning is really hard. So I have to do whatever I can, man. Like I try to like get a healthy diet. I do like massages. I do rolfing. I'll do chiropractic treatment. Like I like to take care of my body, man. It's like as you get older, you realize like, you know, it all depends on that. And there was a point when I came back into skateboarding, I seen all these kids stretching and doing all this stuff, and I was like, whoa, it was a little different. Like when we were probably young, it's like you roll your ankle, it's like you party until it gets better.
And yeah, hop back on it, numbed up.
It's like now, like, you know, you see these kids taking care of their body, getting treatment, like you know, they're getting surgeries, they're getting things like taken care of. You know what I mean? And it's like it's a good thing in skateboarding.
No, well that's
people are like health and like, you know, taking care of your body and skateboarding is a big thing, and I'm like, I'm stoked. It's rad.
Well, that's what's I always trip on that.
They're getting treated like some athletes, and like trust me, if like, you know, if some of these dudes like had treatment, like sounds cheesy again, but like some Kobe Bryant treatment, you know what I mean? Like whether it be with injuries or just like, you know, maintenance.
No, that's what I find real fascinating is skating's just getting to that point where like there's coaches, like your generation going and doing what your stuff. There was no one being like, you know, if you rotate your shoulders a little bit more, you'll spin a little quicker, and your line will be like. But that's coming.
They
now.
Might have. That was like Stacy Peralta and the Bones.
That's true, man. Stacy was like the coach, wasn't
and like that's why they were. You know, that's why they.
It's true.
I think. You know, every great team has someone like special behind them, you know what I mean?
Peralta, man, look at what he spawned.
Yeah.
That dude was like...
Mike Chernowski for Danny Way.
Yeah, man, like... Yeah, I really look at like skating, I think the dark years of skating were almost like the blessing and the thing, but yeah, it's with life. Like the dark period is where you grow.
Yeah.
Like if skating hadn't gone through that weird period, it wouldn't be as gnarly as
it's a rad place right now.
Awesome, man. Like,
everything's acceptable.
Now, all right, let's go on a business.
I could see, I know like the vert skating, like I would like to see like a lot more vert skaters.
Me too.
Just like the regular ramp and like all this stuff, like, you know what I mean? I think they have like a big thing at like, you know, the X Games and stuff, but like a lot more parts could probably be put out of like rad stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
pretty street skating heavy and like either that or just bowl heavy.
Well, it's going to that weird like, you know, the Raven Tershi and Elijah Burley are doing like both, and Grant Parker, like they're heavy on both aspects, and they're going, I mean, you go, like, it's weird, Southern California with the skate parks is nowhere near like the Pacific Northwest with like this heavy...
I haven't even seen a lot of those. I've seen a couple, you know what I mean? I've been to them, but...
They're so gnarly up there. The Mark Scott and the Monk and those dudes, they build stuff for them. Yeah. And they're like... I mean, I
see it. I've seen those parks where I'm like, that was built only for 3 people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They were like, let's see Grant Taylor get to the top of this thing. Like,
but it's that weird thing of like when you go there and skate, like it opens this door of like, whoa, like the endless flowing concrete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in a weird way, like I go down and ride Venice. It's like my standard like go-to spot is go cruise the bulls at Venice. But like at a certain point, like it constricts itself. Like, you go up to those parks up in the Pacific Northwest, there's no, like, end to it. Like, end of the speed you could attain, the lines you could go to, because just when you get, like, more speed, it sends you to somewhere new, and you're like, oh, whoa, that opened the park over there. Yeah. Like, the concrete stuff's coming out. It's not, Europeans are eating it up, man. Like, that's what's super cool. Did you go to that crazy Shanghai place?
I did.
What is that looking like? It's giant, right? It's giant, yeah. It's like
I think Bob Burnquist might have board slid that round rail on the top or something, or I think he 5-0'd it. I forgot what it was, but I just rolled in on that, and it was frightening.
Dude, the thing looks gnarly, dude.
And that one, like, you know, that one bowl that you go into the pipe, and it has
the bowl in the bowl, the pipe in the pipe.
It's like a pill or whatever. Really insane. That one was sketchy. That one, when we got there, I don't know if they used like some whatever cement, but...
Oh, it's that glossy shit, huh?
There was like a lot of rocks in that one. Where
really?
Like when it was just cracks, maybe from like settling or something. And dude, you'd be flying down some like serious like, you know, bowl snake run, doing like 25 or something, and hit a rock. It was sketchy.
The rocks get you, man. Those things are brutal, dude. No, I always tell people, like, you're not really scared. I go, dude, you even look at that thing, it'll hurt you. Like, just use caution with skateboard. It's like a tiger, right? Like, dude, this is funny, man. I was at Venice the other day, and I'm a rule guy. Never let anyone ride my skate, because it's like mine, and it's all into my, like, reality, right? And so I never lend it out.
This is my board. There are many like it, but this one's mine.
Yeah, and so I was at Venice, and it was dark, and this kid came over, and you know, it's Venice. So he's like, can I ride your skate? And I was like, yeah, because I wasn't getting it. He was a little drunk and stuff. And I was like, I'm not getting into this. And then I gave him the skate. And I'm talking to my buddy Sean Johnson. And I look over and dude, the guy, I see my skate like in the air. And this dude flat on his back, like feeling his head. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't lend my skate. It's not to deny you access. It's because you'll like, if you don't have one, you're gonna get hurt. Like if you want a skate, you'll have a skate. Like, you know what I mean? Like even if it's a beat down piece of something, it's like the untested skater. Like, can I ride that thing? And it's like, there's a broken dude. Yeah. Like, are you responsible for that guy? Like, cause you know, I knew better. Like, oh dude, I shouldn't give my skate to this dude. Yeah. And there he is. Like, he could have hit his head and died right there, and I would have, you know, been like someone running over someone on the street. Like, wow, dude, I kind of like. Dude died on my skate. Weird.
It's kind of manslaughter.
Yeah, yeah, something weird. It's a heavy subject. I'll deviate out of that one. All right, so as a skate park business owner, man. I mean, not skate park, but as a business owner in the skateboarding industry, right? Mm-hmm. You have responsibilities as like this. We're going straight business here for a sec because we live in an interesting time as a small business owner. Like, how many people you got working for you, just roughly? 20. So you're 20, so you're technically a small business. When you look at like the stuff that's coming down the pipes as far as taxes and healthcare and Obamacare and stuff, are you worried about it? Can you afford it? Is it going to be a ding on you? What are you seeing as a business owner with the state of just straight business?
That's something that Megan Baltimore deals with. We had a meeting the other day, but like she's like, you know, I take care of the stuff that's like all not fun.
I gotcha.
So I'm not really tripping on that. I'm like,
you got someone handling that.
Not someone handling it. She is like, you know, she basically runs Girl Skateboards, but she's been doing that for like, you know, 20 years.
I gotcha.
That's her job. I think like, you know, we worry about keeping those ledges, keeping our ledge tricks up.
I gotcha. That's a nice thing, man. I know. I just, you know, I noticed, man, I get a paycheck, like I noticed like just as an employee, man, like I got dinged. I was like, whoa, bro, like, you know, money's leaving the system in a weird way, man.
It's tough.
What now, is it like on the skateboarding industry, how is the like skateboarding, is there too many fish in the pond? What's up with the pond and the fish?
I've heard it explained to me by a friend like this, that I think because skateboarding, like I said before, hasn't gone into that like rating system, you know what I mean? That there is a lot of skaters, and like the team rosters are big, and it is a culture, and people are sticking around longer than maybe they should, and like, you know, there's a lot of people out there with boards, and it's like, yeah, you know, the less companies and the less pros out there, it'd be the more money going to them, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't know, we don't shoot our wounded around here. It's like, you know what I mean? Like someone like gets old, it's like, we're not just like, you know, and someone might look at like Girl Skateboards or something and be like, why is that dude still there? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, maybe when you get like 35 and like you've spent your whole life skateboarding, it's like, you know, maybe you'll realize like, you'll be like, wow, that was a rad thing. Yeah. They actually kept their friend around, like, you know what I mean? Or not to that level or whatever, maybe not, I don't know how to explain that one.
No,
it's a really like tricky thing. It's like,
well, I get you because like, right?
Because it has to evolve as a brand. It's like, you know what I mean? Because like, dude, a company is a business any way you want to look at it. Mm-hmm. You can call it like family and all this, but it's like, you know what I mean?
There's a bottom line.
It needs to evolve.
Well, it's that weird thing.
But it's like making it evolve in the way we want to. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're happy it evolved like into like some of the Trunk Boys, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, that was just timing. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, that was perfect timing for that to happen.
No,
those will be our new guys.
Yeah, no, that's what's real interesting with like, I was funny how, you know, every now and then, like, you know, it's like some kids are like, yeah, I'm gonna heckle the old guy because I'm not going off or anything. I'm just doing my thing, man. I just go and do my thing because that's what I do. And like, you know, there'll be some hot shot kid that's got stuff down. I remember I was kind of getting like heckled by this one like kid, right? And I was like, I go, look, bro. I go, dude, get back to me when you're 43, bro. And if you're still out here ripping on 43, you deserve to heckle me right now. But I'll see you when I'm fucking 80 out here. So what are we gonna do? Like, you know, it was that weird thing of like, dude, it's gnarly to keep the physical thing of still, like, I think that's what's what most sports don't have, except for like MMA and all this like stuff, is like the physical. Like you have to be a masochist, right? Like to go skate, like when you're eyeballing some crazy shit that you want to do, the reality of it all is like you could explode into a billion pieces.
I think that skateboarding, like, you know, as far as sports and like what people get, like, you know, this is like totally irrelevant, but like what people get paid to do and like endure, and like what they look at maybe a football player or something, and they think about the like treatment that they like take on their body. A skateboarder is very underpaid. For what some of these guys like David Gonzalez and Figgy and like, you know what I mean, like Andrew Reynolds, like how they treat their bodies and what they do, you know what I mean? It's very underpaid. And like some of those guys, like, yeah, they're psychopaths. You know what I mean? Like there is like, you know, something probably, they're ready to, you know, almost ready to die on some of the stuff they're doing. So it's like, I can't tell you because personally it's not my skating, but it's like that mentality. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, I could die doing this.
But even
because you could die doing a kickflip and fall down and
you get hit by the car.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like whatever. But it's like there's a really, really gnarly mentality.
It's heavy duty. I mean, I had a bro of mine who.
I don't even know if that was the question. I don't even know.
Well, no, but it is
talking about.
But it is because.
But that's where we evolved to.
But like as a skater, like every day, whether you really realize it or not, man, you're taking your life in your own hands. I was just doing some grind the other day in the Big Bull at Venice, and I got all like top heavy, you know, and next thing you know, man, I'm heading down like head first into the thing, but like my tuck and roll cat reflexes kicked in, but there was no thought in there. Like there was just me eyeballing like sudden like doom, and then my body kicked in on survival mode and I popped out of it. But like skating's like real, like the line's real thin between like not coming home some days and like for any of them, you know?
Well, like even, I mean, the other day, man, I was like skating this spot. It was this little bank up to this railing, which like had a bridge or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this little grinder tail slide, but I'm gonna keep my body really far over this way. And like me in my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to fall over on this other side, you know? And this one time I like went up and my wheel grinded on the way up on the bank, and it kind of put me off in a weird angle, but I like ended up sitting on the rail, almost kind of teetering the bridge, and I'm like, all right, man, like I almost just died, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have died, but like would have been really hurt here.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like it was really dangerous. Like so
that's the weird thing with like the hub hideout. Until you've seen the photos of the backside of the thing with the drop down to the street, like you don't know that like that first set had the whole like splat in the street and probably get run over by a car type of like. I watched to see some of those photos of those dudes doing that weird stuff, and it's the abyss, and I'm like, I don't know, bro, that's gnarly, dude. It looks good though. I mean, there's a certain like, wow, that's what's weird about skating, and surfing's the same thing. It's like pushing the envelope, right? Like, how far do you go before someone like ollies up there and like right over the deal? Like, oh, whoa, we just lost fucking Jim's done, dude. Like surfing's that same way. When one of these guys,
a lot of those dudes.
Surfing's almost more people die than like.
It seems like it, right?
All the time over in Hawaii.
I think maybe it's just like what's documented, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's an interesting.
Or if it happens to like a bigger person, you know what I mean? It might get a little bit more exposure, you know.
It's trippy. You know what the thing I won. You know that the possessed to skate, the David Gonzalez thing. The one thing I love is when he slams back, doing the backside board slide on that kinker, and he's like, "I've been waiting for that." I'm like, dude, that is straight.
There was some rad stuff in there. Like Bills, like, you know what I mean? Like to take him like a champ and get out of him. It's like, I want to see that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you see him like going down there, and you're like, well, what if he would have like missed? And it's like you get to see that.
I love it.
It's like, you know what I mean?
I love the slamming,
especially with stuff like that.
Yeah,
especially on such.
Because that's when like. To me, the thing is like...
Or to know that kid took that bail
and got back up. No, that's the thing.
You know
is
what
like
I mean?
that first.
A lot of people would have been like, with that right there, I'm done. Not trying that again.
No, dude, that's the weird thing about like that separates like the people who rode around on a skateboard and skateboarders, right? Like if you, like a lot of dudes like fun, like I'll be skating, right? 43, man, I slam hard. Like I go for it, right? Doing my thing, and like a kid will be like, are you all right? And I'll pop back up and be like, yeah, it's skateboarding. Like, this is what we do. And you'll see kids that ride, like they're really good, but they ride real safe.
Yeah.
Like they haven't taken the slam yet, like the decider. And then there's all the dudes who are like, hey, I used to skate. And you're like, why'd you give it up? And oh, well, you know, I got married to this and that. And it's like, nah, the fucking, you got the slam, didn't you? Like, you were like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore, because that's the reality of skateboarding, is like, full contact. And if you don't want to get back up and like shake it off, sometimes you can't.
I mean, I will tell you, like, there is times, like, you know what I mean, like getting up every morning, getting out of bed, I'm just like, wow, this really did.
My back,
It really did take a toll.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's catching up.
It gets hard to get out of bed.
No, that's the thing. I had the big back problem this winter, this summer, man. It finally went. I couldn't move the whole thing, and I was like, I had to like do the acceptance thing, the surrender deal, where I was like, all right, dude, I may never get to like skate or surf again. Like I couldn't do either one of them, and I was jammed up about it, man. Like like my whole life kind of revolves around these boards, and I was like, all right, what does that mean? And I was like, well, I guess I could be the filmer guy now, or you know what I mean? Like I was just like, okay, to surrender it, I gotta like, I can't walk away from it, and I kind of was like, all right.
I think that's awesome. It's like with skateboarding, it's like, dude, there's a lot of us, it's like we've all dropped out of school, we've done nothing but like live, eat, sleep, skateboarding. It's like that's all we know, and it's like just because maybe you can't do it on a certain level doesn't mean you can't be surrounded by it, work in it, you know, film it, like be surrounded by the culture, and it's like just immersed in it, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
because like, you know what I mean, it's like it's what you know.
I love it, man. That's the greatest thing.
But you know, back to what you were saying about your body too. It's like that's the crazy thing, is like I go through that sometimes, like, because I have friends that are like, hey man, like my knees, I can't do it anymore. And these are people like I grew up skating with, or my wrists, like, dude, like I can't. If I fall on this, like, you know what I mean? It's like I have friends with back problems, and it's like, dude, it sucks. And it's like I see that, and like I know it's gonna like be my story too, because I could already feel it coming on. But it's like that's why I want to spend. That's why I cherish every moment that I have here. Yes. Whether it be like, you know, do you want to like do this tour? You want to like go out and like, you know, try to do this video? It's like, yeah, man, I want to, because you can't do it at a certain level forever. You know what I mean?
Live in the now, man.
You gotta like really. I've spent time away from skateboarding, and I know it's not that fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So I'm just like, I want to have a lot of fun here.
No, that's the cool thing, that like, I think only life gives you like getting some years under your belt. You get that perspective of like, whoa.
And that's almost a blessing and a curse, because then like, you know, like, and then too, it's like you got him Waiting for Lightning. You got Danny Way. He's just like, you know what I mean? Like he just jumped the Great Wall of China and blew up his ankle, and like. He wanted to backflip it. You know what I mean? Like it's that never-ending.
Dude, what is that guy's on another planet?
It's a never-ending push.
No, but that dude's straight on another planet, dude. Yeah. I trip out. Like I remember, like when that stuff came out, being like, what? Like you built this giant thing? Like just the whole like building process. Like it wasn't like he was just like eyeballed some crazy gap or rail or something. It's like kind of mentally gear up. Like he had people like up there with like skill saws and tools and building this thing. For it probably took, from my guess, probably a couple months to build that giant setup on the side of some hill. Like, so he's sitting there watching something and it's theory. So he's got to sit with this crazy cash investment, sponsorship investment, pressure on it, watching it, and not really knowing yet if it's all gonna work. And then just like that gap and the whole thing of like, he's an alien in my book, because I like to come up with that was just like, what? It's like that old stupid video game you used to play with the joystick, like 720. It's like that's straight 720, that thing you built. Like on my bucket list, that's one thing I want to accomplish is the gap.
I would like to do it too. I went to it. I seen it at Bob's house, and I was like, I had butterflies just being up there. I was like,
But I saw Sheckler do it. That was the video that gave.
Sheckler's gnarly though.
Yeah, he's the gnarliest. But he's the gnarliest dude. But he's standing up there scared. He becomes a regular skater right then. When he's standing at the top of the ramp and he's scared, and Burnquist is like, dude, just bomb the hill and let it carry you. And he's like, yeah, really? Like, yeah, and he goes, and you're like, okay, dude, like that moment where he had to, dude, there was no like, I'm the gnarliest dude in the world. There was just some fucking dude up there like, I'm gonna die. And Burnquist was like, you got this, bro, just bomb the hill. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, like that was the thing that was like, oh, I can get that thought.
I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, Pat Duffy, you know, he
broke up.
Yeah, he got broke off. And
but he like, broke off on the air.
Like
yeah.
I'm saying, that other quarter pipe on the other side, so I think like everyone, I think it's not to be played with.
No.
The mega ramp is
I'm convinced the gap is easier than the air.
Oh, yeah.
The 5,000-foot quarter pipe, bro.
There must be something. You're probably celebrating you landed the gap, and then like, you know.
Now it's time for like the real deal.
You haven't prepared for a.
Well, you do that. You know when like when you do that weird check speed thing that if you're it kicks you that way a little bit. Like I think you just got to go for it. I think you get that almost dialed first.
I think you barely jump, and you probably put you.
I don't think you do anything. Yeah. Dude. It's pretty heavy. Like I look at that and like, what next, man? Like that was the thing, man. I trip out on like, to me that was like the great like, whoa, skating can just keep going. Yeah. Like that's gnarly, dude. No, I trip out on it. The Great Wall of China thing, Danny Way, what the hell is that dude doing? And he's got a busted neck and shit, man.
Yeah. It's funny, skateboarding always goes through so many phases, whether it be like punk rock and then it goes hip hop, and it's like, you know what I mean, big wheels, small wheels, big boards, whatever, and now it's kind of just all lumped up into some crazy.
I like that. I like the whole just it's the everyone's doing everything now.
Yeah.
It was so like compartmentalized for a moment there.
Yeah.
Like those first. All right, this is a question, and someone brought it up to me. What do you think about the whole deal with like kind of the skating industry giving like the hill bombing dudes sort of brush off, like, you know, like hill bombing's always been like the ultimate balls to the wall move in skateboarding is to like tuck a hill, and you got these dudes like going 70 miles an hour down like canyons and stuff, and you never see that in Thrasher or Transworld or anything, and those dudes are full-blown like skateboarders. Like, what's your take on that?
It's gnarly. You know what I mean? But I think that if you took any skateboarder, whether it be like, I don't know, Figgy, David Gonzalez, like Andrew Reynolds, and you put them down and watch one of those dudes go by, they'd be like, whoa, that was gnarly.
Yeah, that's...
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think it's coming from like, you know...
Well, that's what I mean. There's like a weird thing, because someone...
Maybe that's like a little kid thing.
It's just like you just never see any like coverage of it, like in the skateboarding sort of mainstream skate, like... Never see anything in Thrasher about like dudes.
I liked like which one was it? Was it Future Primitive and all the PAL videos? Like it was Todd Hastings and them when they used to do the hills in Santa Barbara, and I think Stacy even like the power slide ones, like when they like do the 540 slides almost.
That's what I mean. It's all part of the. It's always been part of those things when they used to bomb that hill in San Francisco with the helmets and the whole thing, like. And then you watch that video of that dude. You know, Tuna Canyon. You watch that guy bombing the Tuna Canyon full speed, you're like, dude, I don't even like driving down that canyon with the brakes, bro. This guy's... And you're like, how is that? It's just weird that if you're not watching, if you're not kind of plugged into that pipeline of like information, you wouldn't know that that's going on. If you're,
you know what's funny is like, that type of skateboarding would probably be like relatable to like some type of Olympic sport, and like, you know, you might be able to go farther because like it is on like timing and like, you know, it's all like, you know, races and, you know, timing and I don't know, like placing, like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
there is a racing quality to it.
Like, it is like it's something that they can focus on. That guy came in first, that guy came in second, that guy came in third, where it's like what's harder, a tray flip crooking grind or a tray flip nose what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing is really hard, like for a public to like look at and view and be like, I don't get it. Which one's better? They all landed their tricks.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
But that one, they're like first, second, third. He's the fastest.
Have you seen the footage of the dude who bombs the stuff in Peru down into the village?
No.
Dude, there's some I think you type in hill bombing in Peru or something, and it's this dude, and you keep going down, and there's like stuff all over the road. You're going, it's in like in the Andes, and then all of a sudden he's like in this like city.
That
like,
sounds fun.
But it's so wild because it's not California roads.
Yeah.
There's like funky stuff. Yeah, you're like, whoa, this dude's like, you know, people don't respect roads. Like, hey, people are idiots here on roads, but like in the rest of the world, like they're even care less about like blowing through some intersection, dude. Or,
I mean, that's the funny thing, man. Like, I hear people like America this, America sucks, all this stuff, but it's like, man, like I've been to those bathrooms in some of the third world countries. You know what I mean? It's like I can come back here and like be in a Taco Bell bathroom and be like, this is beautiful, this is clean. You know what I mean? Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like we're lucky. You know what I mean? It doesn't smell like shit in here. Like, you know what I mean? There's not shit all over the place. It's like, this is beautiful.
It is. That's the truth.
And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it could go anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're talking about like even like some places in Europe. You know what I mean? Like it's not smooth sidewalks out there. You know what I mean? There's brick roads.
Well, no, that was what was tripping when I was.
The East Coast is rough. You know what I mean?
Bro, you leave Southern California, it gets rough.
Yeah.
You know, we live in a nice pocket of concrete, man. Like San Francisco, kind of down. It's all pretty like smooth. I mean, you go up to Portland, man. It's not.
Portland's rough, man. I went up there, we were up there with like Tyler Bledsoe, and I was like, man.
Oh,
that stuff is ripping up your skin. It's like hard to pop off, like, you know.
Oh yeah, when I was living up there.
That's why those kids, they come from Brazil and they come from those places and they like get here and they're just like, this is beautiful, this is perfect, the weather's great, I'm skating all year.
You don't even know.
They're machines. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
No, that's what it, right? Like, that's why, like, all right, like in surfing. Like the dudes who are from the valley surf way better than any dude who grew up in Malibu. Like generally speaking, but it's the same thing. They're sitting out here sweating their balls off in the valley, and they go to the beach. They're not like, yeah, it's a little funky, the wind's kind of coming up. They're like, dude, I'm not going back there. It's 1,000 degrees. I'm surfing the crappy waves. Like, and so these guys who come from like other places in the world with the crappy concrete, they're like, dude, go play your Xbox. I'm skating because...
They're like, sit here and complain that this ledge doesn't grind, but I'm going to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Brazil, there is no ledge.
Yeah, there is no ledge.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Cough for a second. But you know what's like good too is like because usually everyone with the interview, they have some sort of like intent or point they're going to talk about, and it's like, or whatever points they believe in, and it's like you kind of get the same one, so it's like you could have a lot of interviews that are all the same interview. Yeah. The same exact words, the same exact thoughts, because it's the same question. But I think someone might look at this one and be like, well, that was an interesting interview with Guy.
Oh, yeah.
A guy in The Illusionist just talking about aliens. Like,
whatever it is.
Different.
That's what it is. It's like, well, that's what I noticed, the feedback I got off the Richie Jackson interview versus...
That must have been a good one. I love that dude. He's interesting.
Dude, Richie Jackson's...
How was the interview?
It was sick. We just sat up on a park bench in the Palisades Bluff and talked about Terrence McKenna and all sorts of aliens and UFOs. Like, almost didn't even talk about, like, skateboarding. Because we were just...
He seems like an interesting guy.
Dude, super cool, man. Hey, I'll give you his number, man. He's so rad, dude. Like, he's one of those guys, and he doesn't own a car. He's in LA.
Yeah, he is really interesting. I find him like super it's just amazing his talent and like what he does with skateboard. Have you seen the stuff he does like on the barracks? It's like, dude, he is someone
battle commander.
Yeah, he keeps it exciting, he keeps it fun, he keeps it like,
that two-wheel carving thing he does to like shove it out off the ledge is like, what is that? Like,
it's rad, man. It's rad to see some like unique like.
But he does it his own.
That's what people like don't understand. It's like they might like a kid might see a Game 1 part and they're like, this guy put out a whole part of skating rocks and like the weirdest stuff,
dragon noses,
dirt, and it's like, yeah, man, like you were saying, like you haven't been here for so long. It's like Day One is bored. of doing nollie 180 switch crook fakie trays on like, you know, just a straight ledge.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't get him like, you know, like that doesn't get his heart pumping. Like, you know what I mean? What stokes him out is maybe blunting a tree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the dude going somewhere else. Because he's been here
for a while, like you gotta like, you know, you gotta like.
We see the terrain differently, right? Like it's like.
He's like, I've been doing that for 25 years.
Yeah, I gotta go up the tree, man.
Yeah, like.
No, that's what's so cool about like.
So you start looking at things different. You start looking at terrain different. You start looking at that square different. Like going outside the box, and it's like that's what's rad. Well, that's what keeps it in art form, and that's what keeps it so unique.
Have you seen Richie Jackson's buddy down at the barracks? He does the ones where he's doing the front flips over the things and the stuff off of the
little gymnastic stuff.
Yeah, the gymnastic stuff, and some dudes were hating on that, and I'm like, bro, that's like the raddest stuff ever. Like, it's just something else.
I mean, you know what's funny, man? Like about that hating stuff, it's like, I think that a lot of people think that hate comes from like just comments on there, like on a like after you watch a video, it might be comments or something, but it's like some people just throw that out there to throw it out there. We're all entertained by it.
Oh,
we're not saying it's the end all be all, but like, you know, like we're stoked. It was fun.
Yeah, no, that's,
you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what's, as you know, as a person who used to be jammed up and judgmental about everything, like it's all a self issue. Like if you're like, it's pretty interesting when I started doing the YouTube thing, right? You know what I was doing, like, and it kind of popped with the Crail Couch and the whole thing, and all of a sudden I got this weird crowd that like came in and started like hating a little bit. And I remember one day I was just about to like respond to it, and then like three people who were like followers just came and blew this dude up and like attacked his channel, and I was like, they're like, we're not having any hating on this channel. It's like not what we're doing, and I was like, whoa, that is so cool, man. Like these guys just came in and were like, and because I was like all like, well, that. You don't understand, bro. And then I would just realize like that's part of the thing, and if you respond to it, you feed it.
Yeah.
Like don't give any fuel to the fire, man. And like it's.
I definitely think that there's like that's a way to go about it, which is very like, you know, you're just hands off it. I've seen other people like, you know, they post something, this is my new shoe, and someone's like, that thing looks like shit, and they're like, oh. The guy responds, it's comfortable and I like it and it helps me skate good, like, you know what I mean? So I'm stoked on it. And the kid's like, oh, that's right, cool.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes some people are just putting stuff out there and they don't even know what the
hell it's like, it's testing, right? I get all into like the...
Yeah, like sometimes you get too far, like someone might say something, you read into it, you get all insecure and you're just like, whatever, and it's just like, I think, I talked about that before, man, like, you know, I do give a shit what people think. You know what I mean? Like, I've been here for a long time. It's like, I care about skateboarding, I care about girl, I care about everything. So it's like, yeah, like, I'm a little biased and I get a little offended and, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, at the end of the day, man, like, you got to be able to take some insult and some criticism. You know what I mean? Like, because I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, no, criticism's valuable.
Like, you know, but there's another thing. It's just like, you know, when someone's talking shit, it's just like, well, then why are you following my channel? Why are you watching it? And if you like that, go watch that. Well, what are you doing here?
Well, you know what's real interesting that I've discovered over the course of this is the people who talk smack don't actually produce content. And the dude, I have this one guy, Mr. Darko. He says the most twisted stuff ever. But he makes content. And we have like, I dig him because he's willing to put his face out there and run with his whole deal. And he does not like a hater. He just is real dark, Mr. Darko. And he put this one comment up, he was like, you're so positive, but I would like to see how your positivity would work out in like Auschwitz. We'll go to Auschwitz together. And I was like reading the comment, and I got where he's going, but some other dudes are like, dude, what is this? And I go, no, Mr. Darko's cool because he puts content out. Yeah. He's willing to put his face to whatever he's putting out there, and I respect that. Like, I don't care. Like, to each his own, man. I put all his videos whenever he sends them. Yeah. They're really like dark and twisted, but I'll put him on the video response thing. Cause like, hey bro, at least he's like putting his money where his mouth is, man. Like, and you go see most haters, it's like, there's no picture, there's no nothing, and you're like, dude, these guys are just up here hating, dude. That's their job, right? Like, I get it, man. I think so. Okay. What do you think about like the holographic? We'll end on like a trippy note here. We're ending on a trippy note, kids. What do you think about the holographic universe stuff?
What is that?
All right, the holographic universe is basically that, like, kind of the Matrix. Okay. That none of this is real. That your sort of consciousness and your experience is creating all this, and that when you break all of this down, it's just basically like atoms, and atoms are like 99.9% nothing. Like there's very little like substance. So everything that you're looking at is basically just nothing.
Yeah.
Like molecularly, it's like nothing. And so that like the holographic universe is that your experience is holding all this together, and that you're in charge of anything. And what I was getting it to is like when I see the dark comments, I realize it's my own ego putting them out there to try to sabotage my positive moment. Awesome. But like I've noticed just in this experience, just even with the goofy YouTube thing, you can manifest anything you want.
It's the craziest thing, man. Like my fiance, like, you know, she knows me best, you know what I mean? Like she knows everything I go through, and it's just like I'm always talking to her about all my insecurities and all my stuff, and she's always the one telling me, she's just like, you can't put that out there. It's like if that's all you got going in your head, you're gonna manifest that, and that's gonna happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like you need to be on a positive level, thinking positive, thinking good things. And I think that she's really helped me do that with myself, and it's like, so I do believe in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely believe in all of that.
Yeah, well, it's like spirituality, if you will. Like, even if you're into that, I don't know. But, you know, when you're like in this kind of place where you're in contact with something beyond yourself, and it's a positive relationship you're having with that energy field, like no longer are you putting out like this weird negative, no one's coming to attack me anymore.
Yeah.
Like for a certain part of my life, like I was at war with like 7 billion people when I got up in the morning, and like weird stuff would happen to me all day long. And I'd be like, well, those people are like, oh, they're crazy.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where I was like, oh, that crazy guy, I love that dude because that's me.
Yeah.
Like he's just my creation to teach me something. But the minute I started doing that, like the crazy people in my life just like fell off the map.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean, dude, the other week I had the worst week, and I got into a car accident, I rear-ended someone, just everything. My girlfriend's like, Mercury's in that retrograde, and I'm just like, you know, I want to like strangle her. I'm just like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, sometimes you gotta believe in stuff that you can't see, touch, or feel. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what's weird, right? Like Mercury and last week was weird, and I think about it. Tuesday was a rough day for me, man. Last Tuesday. But you think about all that stuff with the planets spinning around and like our body being mostly water and the chemicals in it. Like,
yeah.
I think that's like the hidden science that ties in all of the pyramids and the aliens, and the whole thing is our contact with these celestial bodies.
Yeah.
Rotating around. Like, of course, yeah, Mercury's in retrograde. Like, makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the molecules were all like over here.
No,
it's pretty interesting stuff, man. So on that note, like, positive energy, right?
Positive energy.
So you found in life that what you put out, you
I struggle with it, but like I'm just a work in progress, just like everybody else, and I'm just trying to figure it out, man. And I know it'll be a constant battle my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
my head's crazy.
I'm just like exercising it, and I just know that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on out there. It's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of stuff that I just see and fall victim to, whether it be through TV and Instagram and all this stuff. Who wants to be a millionaire and all this stuff? And it's like knowing what's important to me and like trying to find peace within myself will be something I'll battle forever. And it'll be something I practice. It'll just be maintenance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just want to, like, you know, I just always want to grow as a person, mentally and whatever. And whatever people think of me, and just, I don't know whatever people think of me, not really care about it. You know what I mean? I want to find that eternal peace. You know what I mean? And just be all right with me and what I am and who I am. And
have you read that book, The Four Agreements?
No.
The 4 agreements is one of them is you take nothing personal. It's like basically it's none of your business. When anyone thinks of you, it's all you.
Yeah.
Like that's their trip. Like once I realized that, like, you know, I'm pretty out there. I get some weird like vibes sometimes. Like, what's your deal, dude? And I, like, once I became at peace with myself, with all the quirks and doubts and like the whole thing, and realized that their judgment of me is none of my business. Like, that's their trip.
You know what's sad is, like, I think for me, I think I kind of suffered from like somewhat of like a childhood fame. You know what I mean? Like you see those kids, like they like just go crazy. Whatever. Who are all the childhood stars? Like, you know what I mean? Like Drew Barrymore went through some stuff and like whatever. And it's like I think there was a lot of attention on me at a young age. And it's like I've always been like really insecure about that, you know what I mean? Because I've had to recreate myself as an adolescent, as a teenager, and an adult. And like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's hard to, you know, it's a lot to take on as a kid, and I think it's a lot of like work I'm gonna have to do to fix all of that. But, you know what I mean? But
you've persevered. I mean, I think that ultimately is like sort of the Guy Mariano like thing. It's like you're the dude who came in and has persevered all these phases of skateboarding, of the industry, of self. Like to have gone through what you've gone through and still be here getting the closer on the biggest skate movie in a long time and be celebrated by the industry is like this miracle of perseverance. And like most people would have cracked.
Yeah, you know what's cool is like that. I mean, the biggest way for me to explain it is like some people that I really care about it were inspired and stoked on it. You know what I mean? And that makes me happy.
Dude, I mean,
and then just like as a group, as a team, like that makes me happy.
All right.
Because like that's like, you know, Girl and Chocolate, like we're a gang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're gonna put out a video. It's like, dude, like, you know, hey, we're going to war. Who's in?
Yeah.
Who's on the front lines? Let's do this.
Well, that's what when I ran into Elijah and you that day down there, and I went and interviewed Elijah like a couple days later, and we were talking about it.
Did he get one up, Elijah?
Oh yeah.
Is it funny?
yeah, it's classic. It's Elijah. But he's like, yo, you know what I mean? Like it's classic. Elijah's rad. But we were talking about like you being there, and he's like, oh yeah, man, guys like comes and like hangs out and watches us and does the whole thing. Like we were talking about like just being in awe of like skateboarding. I mean, here's a young guy like Elijah Burrell. We're like, you as a veteran in the game could just easily be at home doing whatever it is you do, playing golf or something, right? But here you are, man, hanging out, watching Elijah for hours.
I want some of that Truck Boys energy to rub off.
Yeah, but that's
the fountain of youth right there.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but most like
I'm taking a sweaty shirt, wringing it out, and drinking it.
But that's such a huge thing to go is to be the fan.
Yeah.
Like when I was watching you, I'm watching a guy. Like I'm watching you, watching me watch them. The whole thing. Like I'm watching a guy who I look up to as a skater, who I've watched go through this whole progress since I was young. Watching a dude that I've met who inspired me with his youth. When I met Elijah Burrell that day down at the Girl Factory, and like we've become like friends and stuff. Like how random's life. And then here we are there, and you're like,
skateboarding's a small world.
It's so cool,
it's such a small world.
It was so rad just to be like driving down the street, and I just see Elijah on the street. I didn't know he's filming something, and there it is, and there you are, and there everyone is, and we're all just rallying for like Elijah to like do his thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is a lot of things don't get that. Most people are jaded in their sports and fields, and like I don't have time to watch the young guys. They need to earn their turns type of stuff. And it's like, dude, I like watching those guys earn. To watch Elijah going at that thing time in, and be like, that's what it's all about.
It is.
Because the pull, like, yeah, everyone will see the ad in the magazine and the whole thing, but the struggle, the man versus rail thing, man. And I admired that in you, because when Elijah explained that that's like part of like what you like to do, in the team combat mode is go and support the troops, as like the general kind of thing. Like I was like, heck yeah, very Patton-esque of you.
You know, I think it's something too. It's just like Elijah's a really hard worker. I see him on the trips, and it's like, you know, it's not like he's like, that's not his mentality. He's out there just doing his thing, having fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, he steps up for his, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, when you're going around trip after trip doing that, it's like you want to be surrounded by people that are putting their 100% in too, you know what I mean? Because like it all just can't fall on like the young kids, you know what I mean?
No, that's the thing, right? Like when you're rolling.
I've been on some of those trips where Vincent Alvarez is just like, you know what I mean? He takes on the whole trip, and he's just like every spot, tackle, tackle, tackle. And it's just like, you want someone to have your back during those sessions.
Well, yeah, you don't want to share victory by yourself. You want to share it with someone, right? Like
that's awesome. That's what the Trunk Boys do, man.
Yeah.
They're like sharing their victories together.
Dude, they got a cool scene going, man.
Yeah.
I dig that. So we're gonna wrap this up because we've been at this a while, Guy, and I know you're not feeling well, and you know, I think it's time to wrap it up. I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to like make this happen, man. Like,
cool, man. That's
very cool of you, and I'm super stoked to hang out.
I think this is gonna be an amazing interview. I hope people like it.
Yeah, me too. I think they will, man. We're just running it raw. Man. Let them decide, man, because that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
We're just here enjoying ourselves in this life, and you're a positive dude. You radiate positive energy, man, and I'm super stoked on that, Guy. Thank you.
Man.
All right, kids, you got it, man. Keep your wheels spinning. It's The Illusion out. Guy Mariano, we're out.
You guys have a nice day.